doing your Enneagram work and you're wondering, am I typed right? Am I sure that I'm the number that I tested? Well, I want to help you with this idea of typing. And so as we explore our Enneagram numbers, it takes time, and I want you to know that. I want you to relax and breathe and just take a seat and just listen to these words over the next couple minutes and see which one rings true. So when we talk about the Enneagram, when we talk about typing, we're really looking at the core motivation. Why do you do what you do? Okay? And these patterns of behavior often develop as early as the age of 2. And so as you guys try to figure out your numbers, I really want you to think about what is the motivation behind what I'm doing. Not the action that people see, but actually the motivation behind what you're doing. The motivation is key. The motivation is when we really begin to do our work. So as you uncover and discover the true motivation behind what you're doing, you can actually ask yourself questions such as, is this pattern serving me well anymore? You know, you actually have to say thank you to the patterns that you did create in the season of life you needed them, but we don't always need to carry all of our patterns to the end of our lives. And so as we understand this, we can actually find some freedom in finding our true Enneagram number. Because we can ask ourselves really hard questions and we can dig into those patterns and really uncover and discover why we're doing what we're doing. And so when you understand why you're doing it, the core motivation behind what you're doing, you then have a choice. You're not stuck in anything. You are not rigid in your number. You actually begin to change. You actually have a choice. You actually can say, do I like that I am acting this way, trying to get this need met? Is there a better way for me to do this? And this is the work I want to give to you today. I want to give you openness and awareness around the motivations. So as we talk about this, we look at the Enneagram 1, the motivation behind why they do what they do is to know that they are good. They want other people to see them as good. And so everything that they do, subconsciously and consciously in their life, they're hoping that other people will see them as good and worth loving and worth caring for and worth being in relationship with. And so they really typically have a high moral compass and really rigid on black and white thinking, but they have this way. But everything about why they're doing what they're doing is through this lens of, I want people to see me as good, okay? Then we move on to the 2. What they want to know is that they're loved and wanted. And so the core motivation behind why they do what they do is to get love and to know that they're wanted. And oftentimes the 2s, they do this because they extend love and they extend nurture and they extend in a way hoping that they'll receive it back. So there's no ill intent behind it, but they're hoping that this dance that they do to get the needs met, to get the love, to get the attention, to get the affection, to know that they're wanted, to know that they matter, is through this idea of, I'm going to give you love and nurture. I'm going to show you all the ways that you're important to me in hopes of getting that in return. So the dance around this, the 2, is this, I need to be loved and wanted. And so I'm going to love and want other people. I'm going to make sure the people around me know that they are loved and wanted and well cared for and thought of. And so there's a very generous spirit behind it too. But the motivation behind what you're doing is just to know that you're loved and wanted and needed. And so if that's the motivation, and oftentimes we've got to sit with it for a while and ask ourselves the questions like, why did I just react that way? Or why did I say yes to do that thing I don't really want to do? Or why did I bake a pie for them, when I really needed to be doing these other things? We have to ask ourselves why we're doing what we're doing. And there's nothing wrong with trying to get our needs met, okay? There's nothing wrong with these motivations. We just have to ask ourselves, are these motivations moving us towards the goal that we have for our life? Are they helping us pursue our passion? I don't know. You have to answer that question for yourself. As we look at the 3, the motivation behind the 3 is to know that they're wanted and loved exactly the way that they are. They want to know that they are accepted just as they are, that they are worthy of love in spite of any performance. They want to know that without achievement and without accomplishment, that somebody would love them. But they're so afraid. They're so afraid to take the mask off and actually be that, even with the people closest to them, that oftentimes they just keep the mask on in every situation. They try to figure out what is needed. Who should I be in this moment? What is acceptable, and what is going to win me favor, or what is going to help me to accomplish my goals and tasks. And so the 3 can get caught up in this cycle of trying to get attention through achievement when they really just want to be able to take their mask off and sit on the couch and be who they are and be loved in just that way. So when a 3 finds that love and finds that acceptance, there is this moment of like, oh, I can just be me. And it is a beautiful being, really, when a 3 actually can take the mask off and be that with the people closest to them. But the motivation behind a 3 chasing and pursuing it is this idea of like, I will only be loved if I am valuable. And so we'd love to explore that. I would love for you to explore that and just say like, am I chasing because I want people to know I'm valuable, or am I chasing because it's purposeful right now in this season? You know, not everything is bad. So when we look at these motivations, they're not all bad. Actually, they're not bad. So I want you to really give yourself a lot of grace. Ask yourself the hard questions. We want to change patterns that are not serving us today, but many patterns that we created early on are still serving us, and that is okay. So as we look at the 4 wants to know that they are accepted uniquely as they are when they walk into a room, in their relationships, in their environments. They don't want to have to shift or change to adapt to what's accepted or socially accepted in their environments. They just want to know that they are loved just as they are. Okay, and this is a really tricky one, and it sounds a little bit like 3 and maybe even a little bit like 2, but the difference is that the 4 is not going to change who they are to gain the love. They just want it. Okay, so the 4 actually might get a little bit more prickly, a little bit more irritable in the face of feeling like they can't get this need met. And so instead of going in and saying, what can I do? How can I be? They're going to say, this is who I am. Love me or leave me. This is who I am. And so that's what happens with a 4. And so that pattern of behavior, we have to ask ourselves like, hey, when you walk into an environment and you feel like you just want to tell them everything about you so that they can reject you or accept you right then, let's bring it back and slow down and say like, okay, what do you need in this moment? Are these your people? Is this where you should be? Is this your environment? Are you forcing yourself into a place that you don't belong? Or do you desperately want to be in this place, and so you're trying to figure out how to be accepted in it? So lots of questions around that for you as a 4. But I'd love for you to just take a little bit of time and think about that. Like, what is happening when I am reacting? What is happening when I'm retreating, withdrawing? What is happening when I'm reaching out and acting? You know, a lot of the times we hear some social anxiety with 4s. They just are nervous to show up into big environments because they're afraid. They're afraid that they're not going to be accepted for who they are. And so I would love for you to explore that in yourself and really ask yourself those questions like, what is valid in this? Now, as we talk about the 5 really wants to know that their needs are not a problem. So 5s oftentimes they figure out how to make their needs small. Like, how do I become not need less, but how do I make my needs small? How can I get what I need? How can I kind of gather information, gather support, gather whatever I need to myself so I don't have to ask for outside support, because I'm not sure that this world is safe and I'm not sure it's really going to help me. So if I make my world small and I don't have a lot of needs, then therefore I don't have to chase after things. And so I'd say for a 5, if you're asking yourself these questions, you know, like, am I making my circle small because I just feel like I can't rely on other people? Am I making my world small because I don't want to have to trust that other people will come there for me or come through for me? Figure out what that is in relationship, okay? And then ask yourself the questions like, how can I allow some people into my life? What would it look like to have some safe relationships? Now, when we look at the six is looking for safety and security. So in everything that they do, you'll hear that sixes are problem solvers, that, that they I often say they're the brake to our gas pedal. They are the people that slow things down. They are looking for safety and security. So everything in the way that they function is through a lens of safety and security. They want to know where the exits are. They want to know the plan of action. They really want to know that they are safe and the people that they're in relationship are safe. They want to do it together. They're very collaborative people too. So as a six, if you are questioning whether you're a six, or as a six, like, is this really me? The motivation behind what you do is about safety and security. Okay, so you're really like looking for that level of like, am I safe? Am I secure? Is this right? Is this good? And it can look like a one in a lot of ways. And so, but the difference is the one wants to know that they're good, where the six wants to know that they're safe. So those are pretty different right there. Okay, so as you ask yourself some questions around your patterns of behavior, what is this desire to keep myself safe? What is it keeping me from? Who is it keeping me from? Is it keeping me from engaging in relationship? Is it keeping me from getting involved in a social group, or maybe it's a church environment? Is it keeping me away from something? And if so, why? You just want to ask yourself those questions. Now, as we look at the seven wants to know that they will be taken care of. And that is the motivation behind why they do what they do. Now, the difference is the sevens want to know that they're going to be taken care of. However, they don't really believe anybody's going to take care of them. So they oftentimes are a little bit passive aggressive and like, hey, I want this, but I'm afraid that you're not going to give it to me. So I'm going to go after it and get it myself. So they are assertive. They go after what they want. People will say they're enthusiastic and fun and risk takers. Well, that's true to a certain degree, but if you understand the motivation behind it, then you're really seeing like they want to know they're taken care of. They're looking for this in their relationships. They're looking for this in their work environments. They're looking for safety and security, a lot like a six. But they want to know that they're worth loving. They want to know that somebody else sees them as valuable and worthy to love and to take care of and to nurture. And so that's the motivation of a seven. So they're looking for this in relationship. However, like I said, they don't really trust that people will do it. So this is like this push and pull that happens with this seven, is like, I want this, but I'm afraid to want it. So I'm going to push you away and I'm going to figure it out myself. That is a lot of the times the way that the seven functions in life. Okay. Now, if we look at the eight, we can say that the motivation behind why they do what they do is they don't want to be betrayed. They don't want to look incompetent. They don't want to look stupid. They typically have a way that they want to be represented. They want to present themselves in a certain way, and so that they will craft that image so that other people see them as respectable and strong and leaders and assertive and strength, and power. And so there's a lot of that's happening. So they really position themselves in this way. It's all that we need though for like, I don't want to be taken advantage of. I don't want to be betrayed. I don't want to look incompetent. I don't want to let my guard down. I'm just fearful that somebody is going to do me wrong. Somebody's going to say something about me, and I don't know that I can handle it. So the motivation behind that is to try to keep everything buttoned up and in control. So if you can stay in control, then you really get to control your environment. That's the thought process. And again, I'd ask for you, the seven and the eight, right? Are these patterns working for you? And so if they're not, what should we do about them? When you recognize yourself kind of, stirring up, when you recognize yourself kind of puffing up, trying to defend yourself, ask yourself, like, what am I defending myself from? Like, is there really an attack, or is it just me trying to prevent anything from happening because I want to look capable and I want to look competent? Really, really ask yourself those questions as an eight. Now, as a nine, what you really want to know is that your presence matters. You want to know that your voice matters, that your ideas matter, that you can show up in a room and that people care that you're there. Oftentimes nines will say that they just kind of fade into the background or people talk over them. Nines really want to know that their voice and presence matter. They want to know that other people matter as well. And so they really care about that part. And so the motivation behind what they do is trying to figure out how to make myself matter. And oftentimes they will go along to get along. They will not ruffle feathers. They will not stir the pot because they want to get along. They want to know that them being in the environment brings some type of comfort, okay? And so the difference, twos and nines a lot of the times get mixed up. I have a lot of clients that come in, are they a 2 and a 9? The 2 wants to know that they're wanted and loved. The 9 wants to know that their presence matters. And so the motivations are different. So this is just one way that I work on typing people. It's not the only way, but it is one way to start asking ourselves, what is the motivation behind what I do? Okay, so you may have taken a test and you may have gotten a number, or you may have gotten 3 numbers and you're really confused. Like, am I all 3? No, you're just 1. And typically, you're not the top one that comes up on that test either. I want you to be curious. I want you to look into it, investigate what is true about my number. And the other thing I want you to remember is that your number does not change. Okay, so you get your Enneagram number after exploring, what is happening in your own life, what is your core motivations, and it should sting. It should feel exposing. It should feel like, oh, I don't know that I want people to know this about me. It should feel like that if it's your right number. And there's also beauty in finding your right number so that you can grow an awareness around your patterns of behavior. You can begin to change things and grow to the healthy numbers, so you do grow towards different numbers in health. However, your core number, the core motivation behind what you do doesn't change, but you can grow to a healthier version of yourself. So you have a number you go to in health, you have a number you go to in stress. You also use the numbers to the right and to the left of you, which are your wings. People will say, I'm just this wing, and I would challenge you use both wings. You use a little bit of one and probably a lot of the other. Okay, so really it helps round out your personality and give you a better picture of what's happening. So we never want you to use the Enneagram as an excuse for bad behavior or as an excuse to not grow. Like, I am this is what it says I am. The Enneagram is a tool for growth. That is what it is. It is not pigeonholing you in any which way. It is a tool to help you grow in understanding of yourself, become aware of your patterns of behavior, and really figure out how to live a better life. And so that is our goal. That is my purpose of giving you this today. I hope that you take it. If you want to check out more of my stuff, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. It's Enneagram with JB. I have a website, enneagramwithjb.com. You can find me there. I would love to talk to you and help you along this journey of self-discovery. So also, we have a book coming out February 9th. You can pre-order that, and a podcast right now that is live, speaking of the Enneagram, to give you more insight into all the different parts of the 9 Enneagram numbers and how they function. I'd love for you to check that out.